it makes sense that like guys would be like I wanted when I was in, I wanted to go to war with North Korea. I was like,
Yeah.
this is the ultimate fight. Like,
Yeah.
I could parachute in and be like skiing in the mountains in North Korea and do like ski shooting, you know?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Like
And be
James Bond
reporting
stuff.
like, you know, like the guys in World War II that dropped in behind enemy lines. Like, there's some cool stories about like the Scandinavian version of like the OSS guys like jumping in, like skiing behind enemy lines where the Germans had invaded up there, and they're like just them in a radio, and they're like reporting to ships, like sending information on.
I'm pretty
German.
sure that's who James Bond is based off
Yeah.
of, is like Scandinavian guys.
Oh,
like
you
that.
know what? That's how I know about that. It's the book Kon-tiki. Have you read that? It's a story about the guys who they had a theory that the Polynesian islands were populated by people from South America, and they made a journey over the Pacific in rafts.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so they made a movie about it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But the book Kon-tiki is written by him, and it's or one of the guys, and it was a former like Scandinavian special forces dude
Wow.
that he basically came up with this theory while he was, you know, doing his studies, and he wanted people were like, no, that's not true. There's no way that people could go across the Pacific in a wooden raft. And he's like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna go prove it. So he calls up his old war buddies who did all this stuff, and that's where I read all the stories.
Yeah.
It's like he's like, oh yeah, this guy, he was like dropped in behind enemy lines. It was like doing this type of stuff. And of course, when he called them up, he's like, hey, I want to take a wooden raft across the Pacific. Are you down? They're like, yeah, I'm on the way.
Wow.
There was like no hesitation from his buddies that were like doing that back in World War II.
Side note on that: when we're millionaires, because you're like have the most famous blog, you know, podcast in the world, and also my salsa is like the most popular salsa in the world.
Yeah.
Like we need to get a sailboat or a couple sailboats, maybe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And like we need to like sail like around the Caribbean. Maybe we need to sail across the Atlantic, sail around the Mediterranean. Like maybe we need to circumnavigate the globe.
Yeah.
Maybe even a couple times.
I'm thinking like a total Legends of the Fall trip.
Yeah.
Maybe skip the opium den.
Maybe.
Have you seen that? Where he's Legends of the Fall?
I feel like
Brad
I
Pitt,
have.
and
I must have, but
he's like in World War I with his brother.
Yeah.
And his brother dies over there, and he's pretty messed up from it. So he like sails around the world and just like it goes on like elephant hunts and like ends up in an opium den for a while.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally down.
Let's do it. And like we can test out other theories too. Like maybe I don't know. We'll think of theories to test out. But
The coolest thing that like happened just recently this last year that's close to the Kon-tiki thing is they're trying to prove that the Vikings sailed over to America and discovered it, and they just did that. They built a Viking ship to scale with like all the tools like what are the little nails? It's like even nails
yeah.
back then were whatever rudimentary nails they had and stuff like that, and the wood, everything was built to scale, and they just sailed it to New York.
Well, I feel like they just did that to prove that they could, because I know there was solid evidence of Viking settlements in North America and like Newfoundland and stuff.
But it was cool that they're kind of carrying on that tradition of again, it's our ancestry.
Yeah.
I mean, we're destined to get on a sailboat and go around the world. Anyways, but so it was just cool. He traveled down to South America. He wanted to do this to the T. So he went down to South America. They cut down trees there and like built everything from stuff you could find. Like,
wow.
And the way he got it sponsored was they brought out some like scientific equipment to do like a bunch of tests and kind of reporting and like marine life type stuff.
Right.
But it's an awesome story. I highly recommend you read that book. I read the book to Christina.
Kon-tiki?
It was like a nighttime story time. And my father read it to us when we were growing up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But great story just about like perseverance and like how they survived the whole trip over there and they made it.
Yeah.
And like it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Sounds really cool.
But yeah, they were those guys that just like, that's what I would want to do when I was in. But